Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. Mbadin Gambiankolu, Mbadin Democracy Kanuralo. This is your partner in the struggle in the name of Alaji Nyabali. I personally have listened and watched the videos and audios of President Adama Barrow of the Gambia and what he has been saying all throughout his tour to the provinces. I reached at a conclusion that President Adama Barrow is the most wicked, clueless, and heartless president Africa ever has. I personally, when I look at President Adama Barrow as he speaks, I see no wisdom in him. When he is angry, there is no wisdom in him. And when he is advised by the so-called advisors, is the worst. I think President Barrow, the way and manner in which you are talking to the Gambians, you should try to refrain from such. Try to increase your level of wisdom. The way you talking to the Gambians is exactly Yahya Jammeh was talking to the Gambians. You see, Mr. President, you may not like it, but one thing we can tell you is that no amount of words, no amount of abracadabra, no amount of holy recitations can threaten the Gambians. The Gambians have undergone a lot of brutal dictatorship of Yahya Jammeh. So that being the case, we think Yahya Jammeh's administration should be a very good lesson for you and your administration. You see, Mr. President, every day you try to crack the wounds of Gambians. And don't think that the way you talk, move your hands, open your eyes, gaze at the public, and the sycophant politicians behind you clapping, those are the ones who don't know what they are doing. And you don't know what you are doing, Mr. President Adama Barrow. You see, there are a few things as characteristics of a good leader. When you are annoyed, distance yourself from public speeches. Because the more you talk in public, the more you cause damages. So we think it is very important. I have once said in my audios that your wives, your immediate family are the best advisors, would be the best advisors to you if they are true and beautiful wives and good children of yours. They are the best advisors for you. I have not known your wives of being evil or doing some things. God have no proofs of those things. So I would say every good wife would like to make sure that your husband becomes the president of the country, but you would like to leave a good legacy in the country. Mr. President, your wives would be your best advisors, I think. If you want to continue paying heed to the advice of these advisors you have today, Mr. President, wallahi, take my words into your bank. You will regret why you became the president of the Gambia one day, Mr. President. Today is on the 3rd of October, 2023, Mr. President. I wish I can advise you and listen to my advice, but the sycophants, the political egocentrics around you will not permit that, Mr. President. But I will tell you one thing. Rome was not built in a day, Mr. President. You see how Gambians are. The more you talk, the more they respond to you, Mr. President. You have to know how to talk to the Gambians. You have to know how to talk to your family. In fact, sometimes if you have your eldest son in the compound, you talk to him in a brutal way. Sometimes they either stop you or they respond by teasing at you. And if you hear the teasing, you bounce on them. 1, 2, the next time they pounce on you, Mr. President. They don't care. So, Mr. President, I will tell you a few things that the Ajame has been doing in the Gambia. You know it, or you may not know it, but I believe you should know it. Mr. President, no amount of your vulgarity can make Gambians afraid of you, Mr. President. The Gambia is ours. What is mine, but what is ours, Mr. President. So it is not that you have to threaten Gambians. You can't threaten Gambians, Mr. President. No way. So the best thing is try to adjust yourself. If you are annoyed, don't speak. You see why all these insults are coming after you? Being called so wicked a president? How can you just stand in public and say, somebody died? Somebody died. You don't even have the courtesy to to pronounce the name of the person who died. And these were the people who were standing by, who stood by you, Mr. President, during those horrible times, Mr. President. The likes of Solo Sunday, if not his blood, you wouldn't have been a president of the Gambia, Mr. President. You know it, and we all know it. Solo Koromang and host of others. You come to Nogonjai, 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏𝒆𝒍, Mr. President. 𝒕𝒉𝒕𝒕𝒑𝒑𝒔, 𝒔𝒑𝒉𝒊𝒔, and host of others, Mr. President. You know, wallahi billahi ta'ala, if these people had not stood by you and they had not sacrificed for the Gambia, you wouldn't have been a president. Who knew you in the Gambia? No one knows you in the Gambia, Mr. President. But we will tell you, human being, as a leader, you go with wisdom. Holy Prophet Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that you call yourself a Muslim, you said no one knew you as a bad Gambian, an alcoholic, a criminal, or whatsoever. These may be words that you are tempting to tempt somebody. But the people you want to tempt, Mr. President, they have very good legacy as you expect yourself to have. So don't provoke people, Mr. President. No amount of your red eyes will make Gambians afraid of you, Mr. President. No way. It's not possible. So it's better you try to comfort yourself. Appeal to Gambians. Let's see. You see your small boy who just came in, CDC, who is your police administrative secretary. What he was saying, he said he wants to make sure all political parties come together. We unite, and they build the country. That is what is expected of a wisdom person. CD has said a good thing, if that is what is in him. And I believe that's what is in him, Mr. President. But you went out and spoiled the whole game for CD. CD could even resign from NPP because he wants to make sure you succeed, Mr. President. But you are making yourself to fail. You are making yourself to become clueless, more clueless every day, Mr. President. Why don't you avoid being clueless, Mr. President? You are somebody who used to be very timid, hardworking, respectful, obedient. But you said you want to pound on Gambians to reduce democracy in the country, Mr. President. You don't have that power. The Gambians have that power. Wallahi, Mr. President. Have you watched Soweto massacre, Mr. President? You have not watched Soweto massacre. Literature brought a lot of evidence and scenarios that I will tell you one thing. The trial of Buroragero, the trial of Didan Kimati, the trial of Marafam Busumbala, Mr. President. Have you read Macbeth, Mr. President? Have you read Julius Caesar, Mr. President? Have you read Romeo and Juliet, Mr. President? Have you read Olarotimis? Gods are not to blame, Mr. President. No, you have not read them. I think those around you should have read these books and advise you, Mr. President. What is in literature is what is happening in the world, Mr. President. Others have happened, others are about to happen, others are happening, Mr. President. So, if you want to pounce on Gambians, the Kimati will come for you, Mr. President. Stop it, Mr. President. Stop it. Iganguna press censorship in the Gambia, democracy is too much. IGP, Mr. President, IGP, I will tell you a few things and left Akila Bangto because my sisters are married to you. and you are a brother, you are a senior man, you were my superior. IGP Ablaye Sanyang commanding us as Edo ko no bakele. IG police ya doko ya karambaka ya bakele. Foni ita ye ku manya mun kai bai dogo yo no. Asikeno kilo be kan bari nin president ye ya mari fenna ma fe kana kele bari fen fe yaran ka ya mara muyan kan si do manta kana kele IGP ni yake ku fula ku saba wal be sokla isi darajanta ya ko sise ki dajiyo isi bay man sa yalla ite tirma sur la ko def Gambia kon wala me fula mu ko ku kendo barandi ibe mun ke kan ku kendolu wol ke continue kawol kafu ni ka kukuru nge wol stop ye konni dude o kendola na ko e mun ke mi ngal do amanta afay ko Mr. President no ngakete advise him ni ajibe ka ko advisement diay IGP resign honorably or you ask for a premature pension ita do ko in UN and other places to beni e bay ebe ke ko sise ki dajjo ite kuma ko rek dunya Gambia ko so dunya ko what is better yakata ye ko kendo bara ebe da min to bi because dimbal be bulo kono mu Gambia dionti imala fi da exile just like ya jamme adum malafol because you are a fine gentleman. But if you want to be if you want to live and dance to the tune of President Barrow like that because you can advise wrongly and you also follow those advices, IGP, I'm sorry. As the Manika probably will say, you come balafate. Can I try, please? Mr. President, I could just kill and Ilaya Marakele Battle, Jikita. Nde. Among you could Jaloka Mola, Jaloka Fempo Moe. Ye mulleto jalo kam wala tarko 5 ans jalo ye mulleto iko fam fo mu jelinta yalti bar jalo be tarko fa nyari dima faaya malom amanjale ke fam fo moy bari Mr. President 1999 wodmo mbe ngak college ba mbetti cinna Africa Bay ko nga safero nyi na safero ya tombonko one of the best safero Africa Bay kono Africa Karamun Betu University ni college Betu na safero ke nyanta mitno la Libya shirk with Gaddafi wasawana Gaddafi yabu kidola but before that nyanta mitno get e kabuna ASU All Africa Students Union na safero ke na essay was selected one of the best essays in Africa nyanta program ndala fa Dakar na slow bite because we were late from the Gambia. Our transaction was late, visa passport issue was late. We arrived in Dakar, we could not fly because the flight had already left. My essay was one of the best essays all over Africa, Mr. President. In 2003, Mbe Gambia University, or the third year university, the first Gambia University, Mr. President. Dunia University, Dunia Bay, University Bay 2, yes, Geneva, Switzerland is a fair. Iko mol Bay Saferoke, University Bay Saferoke. Iko University Bay Saferoke. Ngam foiten nimfani alam abe safer ne ablaring abe sirk abe University of Sirk abe music program show abe music result. One of the best essays ngamu safi yen tombo fukata Gambia represent jet. Africa mod Saferoke na essay was one of the best essays. No mod fakul silla sa France Gambia embassy gendo kola wala muna president. Aboto nyana kadde oto mbalon ala nyininka Mamadou Damfa head boy ngamila munazawa dawla islamia you have Fanta Wadi ngama binu basse our regional coordinator alaji Kamara biga mon kola Muslim high school that time South America Ibrahima Gassama abinu Muslim high school ngama that time sabe abe Sweden or Holland ani mo jama wali tare ko ngam yalla ne adum ni be ko ninkili na garoke kintakela but these are things written down wallahi billahi tallahi is written down in 2003 Mr. President Dunia University be too kuma safiroke that day I was sick and I was on a sick bed in my house The registrar of the University of Gambia, Akpan, the vice chancellor was Ekon, Professor Ekon, Gambia University, Ndelo force by ticket. Young command is so on the telephone. No, as young command principal line of Nusra High School, Mr. Ibala line of principal. Young command what? Young command officer, and officer. Eko Akpa register of the university, he wants to talk to me. I have basically explaining, Akonye Kongere Sefero. Why can't you take part in this and help our university? Ya can notice board level university will come here. Manda class those days ago. Mukora mankenda no malere ben. Nga okay, I will try. Nga typical kinang Adi Jumala, one of my friends. Adi will typical Nina. Not also Munda University. I print Mansara Sani. Kasim Jai Gambia Council of Spain. Alamuso Alamu Amanyo Mansara Sani. She was the secretary to the vice chancellor Ekon. She is alive at the Angleterre. I print Adina. That's what it took me 3 days. Nasafero, Dunia University, including Birmingham, Oxford, Cambridge. Na essay was one of the best essays Dunia Bacon. Nasafero. Yatom asked one of the best essays in the world. Dunia Nasafero was one of the best. He invited from Gambia to Switzerland, Geneva in 2003. That time I was the president of GAMSU. I was the president of Gambia Students Union in GAMSU. Iko topic on Iko, Nimo president of Banco Kang, you make a banco development. Dunia B2, University of Nasafero. Nasafero is one of the best in the whole world. Including all the universities that have been existing for almost 100 years, 50 years. Our Gambia University was just 3 years at that time. Just 3 years. That shows that Gambia University just 3 years. And our students produced one of the best essays in the world. Competing the Cambridge, the Cambridge University, Oxford University, and all the renowned universities, Harvard's in the world. Na essay was one of the best essays. In Geneva, Switzerland. I went there. Now quiz I won the quiz. I took the best prize there. The best prize in Geneva, Switzerland. They gave me 30 new 30 computers, brand new ones, because they could check if they will give me cash or kind. University being so young, a virgin university, you need computers if you can have it. They gave me 20 brand new computers, 20. Each of them at that time, how much was it costing? You have a program in Asamba Gambia. You have shipped from Geneva, Switzerland up to Gambia University, Gambia. Yeah, Gambia University. Nene Magdal Gay. She was Director General of GRTS. They sent people to come and cover it there. It was covered in 2003. When I was in Geneva, Switzerland, you come Bortale. You go Gamsu President absconded. I came back. Then my only program was finished. I came back. No computer present to the Gambia University. They gave me 5 from those computers. That's what I use. Not tell us in the Fabakato Munjara Koroma Muna Koda Bundung Nusra High School. Those who were in Nusra School in those days would know. I opened a cafe there. And I came arresting. They took all my computers away. You see how brutal Yajame was. Yen bayna do ko la yen university scholarship stop yen computer based stop yen do ko stop Gambia kon yeah Morio struggle de Gambia kono Mr. President then mi benta in 2017 kareba no be mo man sound state house ikara from bi ende introduce ko de ay kaf mo le ko atele mo stubborn students of the muliango you are fighting ya jamme. You told me this when I came back when Spain sent me to Gambia to represent them. People are saying it's too early. It's not no. But today you have seen it. Mr. President, no essay was one of the best essays. Hand signed the essays, the words are there, Mr. President. So I can advise you. But not you, I can ask you advice now. Because you don't want me to go. The advisors you have, they are all wolves. They are yelling, bamboo. So I don't want to lose my life because of that. So I can advise you while I'm away. Mr. President, nsi kuma kan phone I wish I have an access to a media we are ko abe Gambia le mbe Gambia. I will advise you, Mr. President. Ngamu say buko kono me dunia modi en tombo emeritus professor emeritus en tombo kada Gambia kada dunia university represent in Geneva, Switzerland. Me adno ken wodo Mr. President Musa Fere bo niaje dunia tubabol be dunia molbe kamene e ko en tombo the best essay in the world. Wodo magi safe chakande Mr. President. Manta mpon jay kande Mr. President muli ndelo yellonde. But I will tell you the truth. But you come on getting cover Gambians standing. You can't make Gambia, you can't threaten Gambians. You can't make us fighting. No, Mr. President. So it's in fact Mr. President. Nakata, Nanyobunya, Nanyoforum. Gambia on Beltat. But little ko, Mundial Gambia. At the end, Ibina Kilo Kili from Gabagomia, Kilomiango, you know, you can't even afford to sit and wait for the end of the war. No. Fight him, not the war, the fight. You see, if you don't want people to Mr. President, do the right thing or step down. But don't be because you come Kamal. More you may uncle is a page can advise you good. It almost where Dimbal. Nimu Musikendoti. Ndenga Muskendol and Dimba can be blown. They are the best advisors for you, Mr. President. But Nekeramu Kenzion. Welcome Volumco, they want their pockets to be filled with money. Apart from that, no way. It's not possible for you. So it's better for you to try and change. Niman change for them. One day, Iba for Ningaron. So Alama Ale Kanda, Mr. President. IGP, who do the good things, near Yamakanaka. One of the most disciplined institutions in the Gambia today is the police, is the army. One of the most disciplined, police are disciplined, police they are very disciplined, they are very professional, definitely. But don't accept to be a doormat for President Barrow, to use you as a doormat and clean himself on you. Because now, okay, you regret it, IGP. Police, the army, they are very disciplined. They have learned a lot of lessons from the previous government. So army is one of the most respectable institutions today in the Gambia. Very respectable institutions. They are doing what they should do. They don't meddle into politics. But somebody police you maintain internal peace and order. But what is not good, don't do it. What is good for the gander, what is good for the goose is good for the gander. Mr. President, any IGP, Gambia built at more than most Gambia. So, Gambia Alman Tangalama. Sonko ni fitna bina kelegedo adum man lafo mandu wala Mr. President. Do the right thing or step down for somebody who can lead the Gambia. Yemudu le kebala wol mangi samara nyo. They want to distract Gambia, that's all. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala barakatuh. Badin Gambian kolu badin democracy kanlalu anna badin alajnya bali in Spain. Badin Gambian kolu lafta ka president Barrow konsodia bari ngai ka konsodia fon gadam Barrow malafi wala. Adam Barrow be fule ka fuko. Non football kondo lafta ka dum mani kondo ko mo ka mum foyte ite jawya batale Mr. President. Mo jawbati. Gisote gisomi yalanko isi yamfano gisote gisomi yalanko isa ditino isa munyano Mr. President ni one thing Gambia diwe fa munge noko njaiti imo found to no because of HAS2 Mr. President iko je ilo mumu fata nama even NPP call found they will say oh you couldn't have said this ilo mumu fata ita ka kat solo sande yelo la mi ndambo di bagnolo solo ko magnolo fe pitas nyolo wole at na widom president Mr. President solo sande ni solo ko magnolo ni other people mul fata before you became president ni wol mam fata Mr. President you wouldn't have been a president of the Gambia, you know it, because that one would not go out because they went out. He said you could stay at home, you stayed at home, they were in jail. It is like a president Mr. President mol be Gambia be kafre ñom han APR ñu ko kafutem mo be kafutem han mo kanja la mo do kafutemal ka katte fay moli to make sure ta jambe ta bare Mr. President kam fu moli kay kamul stani mo ka ko press censorship dem no democracy is too much now, you limit it ni ya try be fellal Gambia ko man ko nyaade hani magic le natna Gambia magic le Gambia yemum kille na Gambia ko Mr. President wallahi de Gambia no Islam no Mr. President when worst come to worst nimfra jawma Mr. President de Gambia ko Islam no de hani nya fete ye nya kano totore nya ko Mr. President ite Gambia ko Islam no those days are gone utami dal say Gambia ko le mo jaw bare boni man say mo ga jamet ale asundi la nya don kala Mr. President yena ke president Mr. President ide ko nyaato le banko diunu ko ko siki ko mum fo man die hey Mr. President ni mun nyaaton ko di babele moy babele tala ni mala fo la ji president yalla ibuga mo sama kido len diro la king nyol ni yol neng iki sambe alman do biye sorong abuka siya fan yebula because of the respect people have for them but president ya prime minister ya ika dol kilo fadi ka dol bu sama do sone ka dol lipe ka dol ika ko lef mu ke dol nen di nya jawla ite ko do moy la ite ko de kele la then it's better you leave the presidency go and stay in Mangamakunda and enjoy with your family by mulki advice Mr. President Adam Barrow mamida iki advice kunke ni one time ila musolu ene diunu wolle ngende kala modi mi ko principal advisors to you ndengam ko those are very good women and you are very good family will see advice no le ko president keteng because musikende e kan file ko ila dimba yalu ikima ay ke president wala ke nyaadon ko bana ke nyaadon ko fan na bal jero ay taraka kendo tuji safe kar nyol kima la ni ku kendo bar janto banni borje ko ila ke nyina ma ila ke dimba mangi toriyati ila ke dimba musikendo kala ke kendo kala musikendo kala fa ke ma na nyaadon gala ay record kendo tuji to mo kana fa atle nyum kuya ke janto mo kala musu kala fa to kuya muso tan no wote muso tan ke se buru dingo mu ne to kuya bare president Barrow be en fole ka foko atrai ni kamfata ikagara diam kadu ni te kamfadi diam ika koro boy wolto sukay dahaba no go njay wole fa sai Mr. President ima wolto fa fono platform kan fe ka fe ya modu fata fo man ke da gambe diunti that mean dingi fata bandal e so na gambe na bari gambe ya je me exactly from boke yes ma wala sante yes ma wala itna ite bari la gambe that means woton si mu folo ko ya je me kafla ko na gambia ifani ya commence de école na gambia man ya je me tarde nenga denkil kinim fayno kay ko amuna ko ila jiboja kunke isaje ija kulo si furan na furablato wala ni wonten kule bina kelela mu yalon ko ni kulu ni jibo katita ite bulo tano le kulu baraja ni wan baraja no woyole be sambala be sama be nyakan le ibetula Mr. President wala mo ko Mr. President akata bang ye yamar kendolta yamara mumbi bala me be londe bari ngalne ko jama bi jedo wallahi Mr. President be yamar kendol but no wonder you want to distract people you more fighting because people are trying to excavate facts about those killings so you want to distract Gambians one ye fine bolongo kada diam yanko it doesn't what amanjara but you have more distract le isa mo la bo saya no parameter mu la ngo ye faji unnecessarily do han tan al manson ka sama tuba do kada jara jel ba la minister ngam ka bo de jele al fe suto ba abiona ali flying but police mi yanan ko bi active duties la ali fil gambe je han le tan a struggle kam life between life and death maybe who knows what has happened until that led to her to the death of the colleagues. Maybe the same thing could happen. Imalafa ni so by this lady so by to become a witness, potential witness. Imalafa so by wala ya to gambe fasi fajeto. In fact, diaspora ni chance mole monyi da effort kilale ngani musine nyi ngana nan tubabudu aina jarro. So that she can become a potential witness in the trials of this victim of the victims. Because mulfada tonya. Justice na lundo tiara sekere ko no never again fela anya ayakum sumana Gambia ko Mr. President ila man saya ni lafta ban kunke kana gambe ko tetinde wallahi Mr. President ngankali kal sawol Mr. President ngankali ka fuko ila man saya ni lafta ban continue ka gambe no tetinde continue ka kuke gambe no ya jibe ila man saya ban sangal nya ban nya sangal jawla ban nya sangal jaw Mr. President ibela mo finaro la ibe mo toño kanan na nyalon ko arrest de ni arrest Mr. President wallahi ni me akili ban sa ban holto il faut sikate fa ko ne kada bake iji man sa ala amanke sawote wodon bafale ka ko Mr. President Gambia mbeta ma Gambiate kana tulum Gambian ko la kana ite Gambian ko ite tetinola it comes for press censorship in the Gambia, Mr. President. I would like to give a comprehensive piece of advice to my brother, my superior, my senior, the IGP, Abdoulaye Sanyang, commonly known as HAS. Mr. Sanyang, there are 2 chances for you. Then that means you are lucky if you have 2 chances. One is to obey the rules of the president and doom forever, or do the right thing and resign. Don't be a nuclear bombist destructor. You know what you call a nuclear bombist destructor? To defuse a bomb, you only have 1 chance in your life. 1 chance in your life, Mr. President and Mr. IGP. Whoever may be around you, you have 1 chance if you want to defuse a bomb. If you miss that slight chance, Mr. President or Mr. the IGP, you are gone forever. You are history. Wallahi, if you want to defuse a bomb, you have only 1 chance. Nuclear bomb diffusers always say you have 1 chance, and I'm telling you, Mr. IGP, you have 1 chance. We know there are a lot of pressures behind you. There may be some infights, but one thing I can tell you is either you do the best thing for the Gambians and be sacked, or resign. Because if you do bad, it will hunt after you. I don't want it to hunt after you because my sisters are married to you. My sisters are married to you, Mr. IGP. I don't want you to be a victim. No way, I don't want it. And I would not like you to be a victim. And I will not accept you to be a victim. You either resign honorably or ask for a premature pension. Apply for UN works. Go and live a dignified life with your family. Then you are sacked. If you are sacked, you become a diminishing marginal return. You serve nothing and you cannot have anything in international arena. So you resign or you are sacked. Or you do bad things and then it hunts after you. I don't want you to go to hell. And I don't want evil to hunt after you, Mr. IGP. You know Gambians. Gambians are never afraid. Wallahi, Gambians are not afraid. When they say this, they will do it. Yahya was one of the bravest soldiers on the continent of Africa when it comes to brutality and dictatorship. Just like Kerry Rawlings. But Gambians confronted Yahya Jammeh. And he has gone with all these mercenaries, all his weapons, he has gone. So if you think amount of abracadabra, that magic you want to apply can make Gambians afraid of you, Mr. President, we think you are making a fool of yourself. No, you're just trying to make things that is not actually worthy. So I will give you an example. I wish I can advise you, hear my advice. And the first batch of UTG, University of the Gambia, I'm not trying to be a panjandram here. I'm not trying to be a bluffish here. I'm not trying to blow my own trumpet. They said blowing your own trumpet is because you have no girios. Girios blow your trumpet because they know who you are. So they will be able to tell people who you are. But if the girios don't know who you are, they won't be able to tell people who you are. Mr. President, records are there. In Geneva, Switzerland, in Tripoli, in Egypt, in Libya, Sirk. Records are there, Mr. President. They can speak for themselves. And you still have Gambians who actually, former Gambian students who are actually living today, Mr. President. If I were to, I can be one of the best advisors to you, Mr. President, wallahi. But I will not advise you to work with you because you not accept my words. So it's worthless. You see, in 2003, in 2003 rather, in 2003, when I was a third-year student at the University of the Gambia, Mr. President, all the universities in the world were given a topic to treat on a unique topic. That if you were a president in your country, what would you do for your people? All over the world, all the universities in the world, including Birmingham, Bristol, Cambridge. I was a third-year student. My essay was selected one of the best essays I wrote about if I were a president. That was my third year in Gambia University. Wallahi billahi ta'ala, Mr. President. Records are there in the University of Gambia. Records are there with ICT in Geneva, Switzerland. In 2003, my essay was one of the best essays in the world, in the whole world, Mr. President. In 1999, Mr. President, back to that also, all the African student unions were to be summoned by Muammar Gaddafi in Libya in 1999. Somewhere around May or so, when I just freshly finished my higher teacher certificate at the Gambia College, Mr. President. Records are there. You contact, Baba Job knows about it. Kuru Konja also knows about it. Records are there in all Africa Students Union. They call it HAS2. My essay was one of the best essays selected all over the Africa. That was 1999. 4 years before I reached the university, Mr. President. Or before I won this medal to be one of the best writers in the world. I'm not blowing my trumpet. These are the records lying there. So I am not your enemy, Mr. President. I can advise you on something good. But you will not pay heed to it. I told Adama once before he left. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. I advised the President Adama, when we went to Kalila in 1998-99, we were seated together, Mr. President. I coined a poem on his behalf. Asked the Gambian students in 1998-99 who were with us in Kalila. Adama gave me a special package for that, how that was done. I think I can advise you, Mr. President, not because I want something from you. I want to serve my country, Mr. President. Not to come and work with you, Mr. President. Remember, because you have wolves around you. But I can advise you without insulting you. But we are tightly cornered, Mr. President, as Gambians. My essay was selected one of the best essays, competing with the university students. I just left HTC. I've never reached university level at the time. It was one of the best essays in Africa. In the Gambia, it was the best essay that I wrote. And I was selected to represent Gambia Students Union in HAS2, Tripoli, Libya, Mr. President. That time, wallahi, Mohamed Silla was the president of Gambia Students Union. I think now he is serving as a diplomat in France on the Gambia and the yoke of NPP. He does not cheat the truth. Wallahi, the records are there. And not only him, Mahmoud Max Dallo, I think I was told he is late, and a lot of Gambians who were there, like Aji Kamara America, Ibrahim Gassama, I think he's in Holland, of Sweden, Babgar Ans, Molo Jallos, Fanta Wallis, Mamadi Damfa, and host of others. They were head boys and head girls in their various schools. That time I was serving as Council Vice President. If one denies the truth, others will not deny the truth because the records are there. So, Mr. President, I will tell you a few things. Listen to the words and advice of your fellow Gambia, of your citizens. Those who are chastising you, I'm not saying those insulting you, but those who are telling Mr. President, change for good, are your friends, are your good people. People will insult you sometimes because you are a political leader, and insult anywhere in this world except if you are a king, Mr. President. You cannot summon anybody to court for that. Where do you have that in the appellations, in the clauses of the laws? There is no organic law that will tell you that sue them to court and then jail them. You cannot. Unless and until you stop being a president. If you stop being a president, somebody insults you and your parents, then you can sue the person. That's breach of privacy. But if you are a public leader, Mr. President, they will insult you. People who are saying there's no insult you, well, I said, no, don't insult the leaders. That's true. But if you advise your leader, he doesn't want to pay heed to it, and he wants to threaten you, you also saw the leader your vulgarity, and you are digging more, you are causing more harm than good, Mr. Barrow in the Gambia. Stop it. You could be a very good leader if you listen to advices. You are a young man. You are a young man, Mr. President. But why do you fail to be even become the chairman of ECOWAS, talkless of African Union? All throughout his term as president of the Gambia, he has failed all throughout. You have begun the same so. And somebody said in TRRC, he said you will be a very, very bad president, which I said no, because you were with people who had wisdom. But Mr. President, I think the man sitting down can see a long distance than a child sitting down, than a child standing. Today, you are manifesting those characters of a dictator. Press censorship in the Gambia, Mr. President. You think you can censor the press in the Gambia? It's impossible. You can't censor any press in the Gambia. If you make people to revolt against you, Mr. President, wallahi, that will be end of your presidency. Take it from me and put it in your banks. Assalamu alaikum.